Michael, how are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you. Yeah, I thought we were friends already. So when I got your friend request this morning, I was like, oh, I thought we were friends, but we'll be friends again.
Yeah, I had made a new Facebook
Uh,
and I saw you pop up. Somebody must have shared a post and I looked and I said, "Oh man, we're not friends on here." So I had to send the request and I said, "How cool would it be to have a chat with Michael Jeffries?" I, yeah. So how you been?
I've been good. I saw you've been making the rounds in Kosi, Dan, Rosa. That was a beautiful talk.
Oh, they're all my friends. I love
Yeah,
them all. And
yeah.
Cozy's my favorite. I'm not shy about saying it. I love talking to Nkosi.
Good for you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't what to say about Nkosi, right?
Oh yeah, he's beautiful. Um, yeah, so I just had some questions I would like to ask you and maybe see what you got to say.
Okay.
So the first question I wanted to ask you was, who is Michael Jeffries?
Um, I couldn't really tell you.
What a curveball.
I know, right? Because we're so like conditioned to have a snappy answer, you know, at the ready that when I looked directly right now, there's nothing.
Yeah, when I asked somebody this question yesterday, they had the same response. It was just like they didn't know what to say, and I think that that's um and my response was, if somebody said who's Amor, I would say that Amor, there's the appearance of this separate, individualized somebody with a special name and this special story, and there's just the appearance of this person Amor, and it's just this appearing as this special person Amor. There's no separate solidity to Amor. It's just an appearance.
I know,
Would
pretty trippy, huh?
Could you sign off on
Oh
that
yeah,
explanation?
yeah. It's just it's so trippy that I mean, what can you say about it, really?
What's the story of Michael Jeffries? What brought you to um where you are now?
Um, Well, let me just say that where I am now is where I've always been, but maybe I didn't know it. So that would be the seeking. There can be terrible, intense, burning, hair on fire. At least that's how it was here. It was not a joke. It was not funny. I could never be chill. I'd be at a party and see everyone having a good time and like, it was like a magic trick. Like, how do they do that? Like, how do they get, and here was the seeking always. And I pretty much tried everything I could get my hands on. Every non-duality book, every Buddhist book, every Vedanta book, every mystical book, esoteric shit most people haven't heard of, because then it really sounded juicy. If it was channeled by some lady in 1918, then it's got to be good. And finally, somehow nothing worked. And it's like banging your head against a brick wall. You can do it only so many times, and then you just can't.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely um somebody had handed me. So I when I grew up, I was around grew up with my mother for some time and she used to be into psychic mediums. And I would watch with her and it would just amaze me. And I'd find myself in the mirror looking at myself in the eyes in the mirror saying, "Who am I?" And then sort of like naturally living in, our society, I gravitated towards Christianity. And then from Christianity, I started to explore Islam. And then somebody handed me a book. It was Eckhart Tolle, and it was
Oh
The
my
Power
God.
of Now.
Oh my gosh.
And then shortly after that, and that book just, and then shortly after that, somebody gave me the autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda.
Yep.
And
Had that one.
that book just took me even further. I mean, I still have the book. I haven't touched it in probably 7 or 8 years, but I still have the book.
Yeah.
And from there, that just led me into Satguru and Muji and then Ramana. I became a follower of Ramana. And then from there, I, came into radical non-duality. I started watching Sander. And then in the last year or two, it just, there's no more seeking. I don't, there's no more, there's not the appearance of a somebody named Amor seeking anymore. There's not, I haven't picked up a book. Um, I have books sitting right next to my bed. I haven't read a book in 2 years at least. Yeah, it's but I will say that it's been a fun journey. A fun journey to nothing. Nothing in the end, nothing was ever gained. There appeared to be these stretches of something being gained and some type of growth
Right. In the
to just
story.
hit to just hit this brick wall in the end of like,
Yeah.
what the fuck was that even all for?
Yeah.
You know?
It was both a like a simultaneous sense of a doing something and yet never having moved.
Yes. Yep. What a beauty.
Yeah. So our stories are similar because I too, turns out, I haven't really talked about this, but the neighbor across the street from where I lived when I was a kid was the drummer for a very big band here in the States, especially up north, called Tower of Power. They're out of San Francisco and they were big in the 70s and 60s. And the drummer, who I didn't know that he was some big shot, he was a Christian and he invited me to Bible study. And being a Jewish boy who was bar mitzvahed, but it made no sense to me at all, repeating gibberish prayers in Hebrew that I didn't understand a word of. So I too turned to Christianity and the Bible. So it was definitely a searching for something.
Yeah, there used to be this real sense of peace in when I go into, so every week I'd go with my aunt to Catholic church. And there was really this sense of peace that came when I walked into the church.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, there was this sense of peace. I used to wear the rosary and um yeah, it was actually it was beautiful, you
Well,
know.
it was, if I could put it into words, I would say it was a sense of reverence.
Yes. Yeah, I could definitely say the same. Now, would you say that nowadays your Michael Jeffries would fall into the realm of radical non-duality?
Yeah, probably, but I completely don't use the words non-duality like I used to. I used to put it in the Zoom link title, but to me, it's just everything. It's not non-duality. It's life. It's not really spiritual. It's not spiritual. There's just really no category. But I notice in here too, right? That's why I have hundreds of non-duality books in the closet because there can be seeking for that piece of information that will do it.
Yes. Yes. As if there's something to be done.
Exactly. That's already the assumption of me that it's not see, Dan and I were talking about this. Already doesn't work for me.
The mind wants more. The mind wants this mind-blowing, blissful experience.
Yeah, so you could say that in a story, but when you look now, can you find a mind?
Well, no, no, I would say there never actually was.
So that's why that appearance worked, right? I heard you talking about it too, an appearance.
Yes.
It can appear, but the thing is, it's just an appearance. It never goes beyond an appearance. It's always this, regardless of the appearance. Sort of like bubbles would always be like if you had a container of bubble soap bubbles, and whatever bubbles pop off of the soap container, it's still soap. It's not other than soap.
Yes. Yes. And this appearance sometimes appears very, it's a very bold appearance. It's a very powerful appearance. It's like when I've heard you talk about hitting your finger with the hammer. Um, it's a very powerful appearance. Um, but I wanted to ask before we go too far beyond what we were talking about is, oh, I'm sorry, I saw something move over there. Weird. Can you describe what would you say? Because I hear the term radical non-duality thrown around. How would you describe radical non-duality for the
Yeah.
people who use the word?
Well, again, it doesn't here it doesn't make sense. I don't get radical non-duality because no non-duality, you're right, supposedly is not two. Not two. Not non-duality, not two. Pretty simple. But it's like radical non-duality saying, no, no, we're serious. We really mean, you know what I mean? In a way, it's the non-duality somehow has all these apparently these, which there's nothing wrong with practices, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But I think radical non-duality is attempt to emphasize no, there's no path at all. So it's like non-duality somehow became Vedanta and all these different seemingly paths. And radicals this attempt to say, well, there is no path. But then what I notice is that that becomes the next God.
Mm. So it'd be safe to say that there is no difference between radical non-duality or Christianity or Islam or Buddhism. It's
No,
just all this.
yeah, let me see if is my video. Hold on one second. Okay. Um, well, see, that's the thing. They are different. They're not saying exactly the same thing. Buddhism, when one hits it from all is this and the other hits it from there's just emptiness, so take your pick. But the thing is, it's still all this. So that's, in a sense, why it doesn't matter. Because if it's all this,
Yeah, speaking within the appearance, this powerful so-called appearance, there's clearly differences between Buddhism and
yeah,
radical non-duality.
yeah.
But but so to say, beyond the appearance, they're all just equally what is.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, More. It's like just think I just saw a movie with my sister, um, Harold and the Purple Crayon. It's a little kid's movie, Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Never
And
heard of it.
oh shoot, I forgot my point. Can you just say what you just said again?
Well, yeah, so within the appearance, there appears to be these very uh, these differences between something such as Buddhism or radical non-duality. But
Oh,
beyond that,
oh yeah, thank you. Um, so the movie, is about the power of stories and how this guy finds a purple crayon, this kid, and he can draw anything and it appears. And
Mm,
so what's shared here is that all the appearances are free to be as they are because they're all this already. It's like the movie screen in the theater that we saw Harold and the Purple Crayon on. Whatever appears on that movie screen is the movie screen. It's not, but you can think you like one character like Porcupine, or no, I liked Moose, but they're both appearing on the screen simultaneously. So the
mm.
appearance is only an appearance of difference.
Yes, that's like what I said. It's I like that. That's well put. So within the appearance, there appears to be these individualized special people with their own names, and they're very embedded in their lives. I work this job. I make $100,000 a year. I got this family. I got 5 kids. There's this. I don't usually use the word illusion, but there's this illusion that you're this very important, special person, and all of these important, special people appear to die.
Mm.
And so, could you speak a little bit on death? I think that that's the main thing that brings people to different spiritual practices or religious practices or whatever it may be, even non-duality.
Yeah, so the fear of death stems from that I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. This there's gonna be a point. I look around, I see bodies dropping left, right, and center. Can't avoid it, and I know that sooner or later the same will happen to my body. So what? Woe is me. You know, woe is me. What's to become of me? Is there an afterlife? Is there a heaven? Maybe a hell. Maybe I'm going to hell. I'm not happy about that. Um, so there's all these ideas of what I am, and that it can be noticed that when looked for, there already is no separate me already.
So when there's no separate you, then there's nobody to die, and there's no death.
Well, it's just like in the movie on the screen, there appeared to be people can die in the movie, in the story, right? There can be the appearance of, you know, but what died? Was anything ever separate from this, ever? See, the me thinks it has a life. That's the suffering, that ownership. I have a life and I'm sad that my life is going to be gone. Well,
Yes.
without the claim of ownership, Amor, without anyone saying this, that, or the other is mine, without any of that, there's just this.
Sometimes when I'm sitting on some of these chats, you know, I I notice that most of my life is spent without thought. And so I find myself sitting here sometimes just looking, and I could sit here in silence and not even talk. And so I come up with this question in my mind for the next question. Oh, I want to ask Michael Jeffries such and such. And then I'm just sitting here just listening to you talk, and there's nothing going on in the mind. And then when you finish a sentence, I'm like, "Oh, what was I going to say?" You know.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
yeah. I don't know if you ever had that happen to you.
Yeah. Well, that's in a way, that's the noticing that those thoughts that you think are so important in the moment, you know, 60 seconds later, you couldn't even recall the thought if your life depended on it, you know?
Yeah, right. And I think there's this world that we appear to live in and function in. And within this world, there's always so much what you might call chaos going on, political and violence, and it's just everything around you. And it's just like just to sit there in the center of it and just watch it without falling into it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we can talk also more about the, so to say, falling away of the need for control. That can be seen, you know, by nobody. This constant attempt to control this, that, and the other until it's seen that it, at least it just didn't work. I kept seeing it like water, just the control just slipped through the fingers. But wait, that's not what I wanted. That's not how I thought it should be. You do that enough times, and it could dawn on you that let me just take it, like you said, let me just take a step back.
And comes the real shit show comes in to where whether or not you fall back and you're sitting there silently, or whether or not you're right in the middle of the chaos, it's all just already what is. There's not somebody special, separate from everybody else, sitting there silently, not involved in the chaos. There's not already somebody solid and separate, directly involved in the chaos. It's already just this. And another thing is that you sort of coined the word already, and I find myself using it a lot. And it's such a beautiful word to put all of this into perspective, so to say.
Dude, dude, let me tell you, it's not mine. Nkosi 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, showed up talking about me or no me doesn't matter to this. That was the first thing he left on my. I'm like, who is this guy? Me or no me doesn't matter, because the whole spiritual thing was about getting rid of me, right? So here's
Yeah,
this dude in South Africa singing a completely different tune, but somehow it resonated like a direct bullet to the heart. Like something saw in me. I go, yeah, it only matters to me, but
yes.
to this, me or no me,
And Cozy is such a beauty. He's such a beauty. I find myself when I sit with Nkosi, I've done a couple talks with him for my YouTube already, and I've talked to him, off the record, and I just find myself sitting there in just peace when I talk to him.
yeah.
Like I find myself just in this, there's no debating, there's no arguing. You could say Jesus is God, and it's like
He's
he's
so chill. You can't throw him. There's nothing you can say to the guy that'll like get his hair to stand up. It's hilarious.
I love Nkosi.
Yeah, no, he to me there's nothing there's no one like him. To me I have no problem, like you were saying. I have no problem saying there's nobody like Nkosi. It's just a complete anomaly of just so pure in that booming voice of his. His chill, it's like it's a chill, but it's a powerful chill.
Yes, powerful. Yeah, I told somebody recently, to play into the shit show a little bit. Um, if there was a living Ramana Maharshi that I personally have met, it
Yeah,
would be Nkosi.
yeah, yeah. And I just want to finish the thought earlier you mentioned already, you know, it was just from Nkosi when he said, all is this already. Here, that stopped me in my little tracks. I took that seriously. I said, well, if the freedom is already the case already, then what the hell am I doing?
Mm. So would you say that in Cozy brought you to a certain point to have this supposed, what you might call, realization or understanding?
I mean, yeah, it's still this, right? So it's all this, but yeah, in a story, I definitely would say it was in Nkosi. No, no problem. But again, it's seen here as a story, and that's one thing Sander is good at is, he'll talk about not putting people on pedestals, which can easily happen, especially with someone like Nkosi. It's very easy to go, well, dude is up there. But it's funny because Nkosi himself will say there's already no one to put on a pedestal.
Yes, that's why I think I sort of vibe with the message of Nkosi, is because even even so I've sort of there's sort of been this point that's appeared to have been hit to where if I could sit here and talk highly of Nkosi as if there's a separate special somebody named Nkosi that has something special, that gives people something special, and so on and so forth, and it's already just purely what is. And I quote Rosa a lot when I say perfection in action already. It's there may appear to be a me sitting here saying, like what you said about Nkosi, it was Sander for me. I would say that Sander is the one that blew the top off, so to say.
Yeah,
Hearing everything when I first heard Sander somewhere around a year ago, saying everything is just this, just this. Somebody would say something to Sander, and it was just this,
yeah,
and it just sort of stuck and stuck after hearing it, and it's just this.
I know. Yeah,
And that's what in the story, as you would say, Sander sort of blew the top off for
I
Amor.
I agree. I agree. I know totally what you're saying because he's like a broken record. Whatever anyone brought up, it
He's
was
changed a little bit. He's not like that broken record anymore. I mean, he'll say other things besides just this now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I like what you said about, I want to go back to what you said about Nkosi, and because actually right now this is what Nkosi is kind of pointing at is right now there is no Nkosi other than the name.
Hmm. It goes back to there being this perception. There's this appearance of an Nkosi with a name. There's the appearance of somebody who has something special,
Yeah.
but it's just this appearing as an Nkosi, as a Michael Jeffries, as an Amor. And it's besides that, what else could you say? That's why I call it the shit show.
Yeah, well, that's also why it can't be explained.
Shit
Because,
show.
well, you could call it anything. You could call it a shit show. You could call it a beauty contest. Right? And it can flip. One
A shit
minute it's a shit show, and the next minute you get something you like, and you're stoked, and suddenly, oh, bitching.
Well, see, that's somebody had told me yesterday that, we were talking about how shit show has like this negative connotation to it. I think I said the word right, connotation.
Yeah, yeah,
It has this negative feeling to it, but it's
yeah.
not meant, when it's said, it's not meant to be purely a negative thing. It's more like a shit show that, you know, something that can't be explained. And when you try to explain it, it turns into a shit show. And
Oh,
right, yeah. So
oh, yeah, that is different because upon even here, it does sound negative, like, oh, he's already judging it as a shit show. Like he's already
yeah.
saying, yeah, okay, nice, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's just nowhere to get. Like that can just become apparent. all the efforting and trying to get, suddenly it's just what's happening is just what's happening. It's always just what's happening. And all the other past and future stuff isn't, it's just this. It's just you and I having a little Zoom. That's everything. This is it, buddy. Just you and I, you having a ciggy and just chilling, and that's everything.
Well, that could also appear as somebody being raped, somebody being murdered.
Right, but I'm talking about right here. Just here, this is all that's going on. No one's getting raped, no one's getting murdered. It's just so simple. The simplicity of what is can be attractive. There can be a natural, like I like obviously open space. And I'll tell you a funny story. I haven't really, when I was a, I cannot believe this. I once got in a fight with my roommate when I was, like in my 20s or something. And my bedroom had posters all over it, and his bedroom had nothing. And he and I had the biggest argument. Like, I just couldn't conceive how you could not put posters up. Like, it just, that space was crying out for a poster. And he's like, well, you don't have to. And now look, there's not a goddamn thing on my wall except a TV that I never watch. So that's what I
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say your wall could use a few posters.
exactly. But isn't that funny how it can flip flop? You're so sure you're right. I remember he and I got in it. It really was so heated over nothing because we both were so convinced that we were right. And now I laugh, and just go, yeah, that's it too.
Yeah, a lot of, there everything appears as ever changing. So who Michael Jeffries might appear as today might look completely different in a week or in a year or in 10 years. And it's funny because I used to be the same way. My bedroom used to have posters all over. I don't have anything, although I do have a Dalai Lama quote on my wall. It's like this. It's like this. I got it years ago when
Yeah.
I was seeking and I was into
Yeah.
In my Buddhist phase, and it says, "In the end, what matters most is how well did you love, how well did you live, and how well did you learn to let go."
Mm. Yeah, I
And
actually
yeah,
I actually saw him more in Long Beach. They had a big, you know how they do it. When Dalai Lama comes to town, it's a big deal, you know.
yeah,
So His Holiness. Yeah.
especially there in California,
Huh?
especially there in California.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but all over the world. The guy, and he's a cool dude. Like the guy is really, he's really down to earth.
Do you know what changed my view on the Dalai Lama? And
Hmm.
it's all just this,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I saw a video of him kissing a young boy on the lips, and the young boy seemed hesitant,
Hmm.
and he was like sort of forcing it, and it sort of rubbed me a little bit wrong, and I haven't really, yeah, the Dalai Lama really, it changed my perspective on the Dalai Lama.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. In a way, you could say, tell a story, that that's a good thing, that you caught that and were like, I'm not down for that. Because every time we look at other humans and put them up on a pedestal, say, oh, that's who we should become. We need to be, they're held up. No, man. No, we all put our underwear on the same way.
Mm. Yeah, like they could do no wrong, like they're a god.
Exactly. That's the impression, and that's why here, seeking it from other humans dropped away, just like the reading dropped away. It was apparent here that nobody knows this. So there was no longer going to others for answers because I go, well, they don't know it either. Like it just became obvious. Like nobody knows what this is.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody actually just before I got on here with you, and we were discussing speakers who charge money just to talk off the record, just to talk for 15 minutes. And granted, this may appear as a separate speaker who doesn't work. He does what he loves to do for a living, making money, doing what he loves to do, and that's beautiful. Um, but what I explained to this person is that there's when I go to the store and I buy a dozen eggs, I'm receiving something for my money. So I might spend $3 for a dozen eggs and I'm going to eat those eggs. When I go to somebody and I give them money to speak with them, it's as if there's something to gain from that person. I'm giving you money because not just to talk to somebody, I go talk to my neighbor if I want to, or talk to the homeless guy standing on the corner. It's not, there's this feeling that this person can give me something that's worth my money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because when I go to talk to people, the same people that are charging this gentleman money, they don't ask me for money to talk. Um, because I think there's this understanding already that I'm not looking to gain anything from anybody. I'm not talking to Michael Jeffries right now to gain your wisdom and knowledge. You know, um, I'm just talking to an old friend. We're having there's anybody who may watch this video in particular. There's nothing that is being taught here, and there's nothing to be gained. And if there may be the appearance of learning something from Michael Jeffries or Amor, but there's already nobody learning anything.
Mm. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's the paradox. They're beautiful, Amor. I mean, that's it, right? Because on the one hand, we can acknowledge when Nkosi says me or no me doesn't matter, or he says already, and that's heard, and something in you just explodes. I can't really explain it, but it's like a direct hit. You're like, yes, that's it. All is this already. That's the freedom. Something in even though you have no understanding of how that's possibly known. You don't know how you know that. And that's the thing, for the me, it's still looking to get something for me. I want to know this. So there's that seeking to find the answer. And that can go on until it doesn't.
Yes. And a lot of money can be spent in the meantime.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that's okay. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not putting down the
I
idea of it.
I don't listen, I do it by donation. If you want to talk to me about, and just to be clear, the money is not for anything I'm going to give you, because as you said, you're not getting a damn thing here. But it is for my time. You're paying
Yeah.
me for my time. You're donating because I'm donating my time to you, and as kind of a reciprocal thing, you're donating something else, money. So it's just time for money. It's very natural, not a big deal. And because I honestly, this is priceless.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I was in the conversation I was having, I brought up, I told you about the autobiography of a yogi.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know much about Paramahansa Yogananda, but there was Babaji who passed down Kriya Yoga through the generations, and then Yogananda's guru passed down Kriya Yoga to him. And to learn Kriya Yoga nowadays is like thousands of dollars. Like you have to
Mhm.
pay an arm and a leg to learn Kriya Yoga.
Yeah.
And at one point in my seeking, I was ready to spend that money. I'm like, I want what Paramahansa Yogananda has.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go and travel to California to the ashram, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I've been
spend
there.
my
It's not far, Lake Shrine. It's just
yep.
it's 20 minutes from here, down Sunset. Been there many times.
Don't they have a huge statue of like I think it's Gandhi?
They got everything there. They got a lake, they got swans, white swans in the lake, they got a shrine, they got his last orange he was holding when he died, that's still his last tangerine. Because, you know,
Well, it's funny. The in the book they talked about just a random little story of the ending of the book. Uh he went to go do a speech in like some auditorium, and he met with the ambassador for India, and he was very quiet, very serene, very calm, and he had said that he was going to die. And he got up on the stage and he did a few he was talking, and he said something about India, and then he just collapsed and died.
Mm,
And his body didn't start to disintegrate. It didn't start to wear for like days, and usually it happens immediately.
yeah,
you know. And
yeah.
I just find stuff like, even though, we say it's all just this, and there still appears to be this fascination with the idea of, watching the Zen Buddhist monk go into Mahasamadhi and lay on the ground, say, I'm gonna die, lay on the ground, take 3 breaths, and then he's gone. Like he just chose when he was gonna die.
Yeah, you probably heard the story. There was like some like Zen monk or something that he said, "Well, when I stop eating, then you'll know."
Yeah. Isn't it amazing? It's beautiful.
Yeah, the characters just come and go freely, endlessly.
Mm. So is there any within Michael Jeffries, is there any fear of death? Like, does that ever arise where there's like this fear, like, oh shit, I'm gonna die?
There used to be. There used to be.
Yeah.
That's what the seeking is sort of doing, is look is looking for an escape clause. Like a
Mm.
part of you, it feels like something here felt like it just wanted like something here like wanted to see what is it that dies. Like the assumption that it's that I die, right? That's the fear. I'm gonna die. But if I'm already not, like if I already, this is everything speaking, everything itching, scratching, everything turning its head, everything zooming, then what really dies?
Well said. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Um, I had a lot of fun chatting. Um, is there anything, if there's nothing else that is a burning to be said from Michael Jeffries, then
Thanks, Amor. I enjoyed it very much as well. It was a pleasure chit-chatting with you about nothing. And if you want more, Wednesday nights, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, I have a Zoom, and everyone's welcome. It's posted right now for this Wednesday, the 7th, in the non-duality community on Facebook.
and is this a typical thing that you do every Wednesday night?
Uh-huh. And then sometimes Nkosi shows up at the end.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's a nice little grand finale, a nice treat.
Beautiful. Thank you, Amor.
Awesome. Well, I'll
I'll
see you there.
I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.